Hey, welcome to part 3 of the 3-part series, which means it's the last video. This one's titled PDF Merging and Optimizing. Our presentation requirements are 11 by 8.5 landscape format, sideways. We will be at a resolution of 3300 by 2550, and we want to have the file size under 10 megabyte. 25 is okay sometimes. All right, so we're going to be doing two things here, as the title told you. But let's separate them to discuss briefly. So merging is just taking separate PDF files and getting them into one single PDF. So this happens a lot when you're using either Photoshop or Illustrator or other apps. Each page will probably be a separate PDF. So that's no good for sharing, which typically means sending out for print or for a job opportunity because it's your portfolio. So we want to merge into one single PDF document. To do this merging, we're going to use Acrobat Pro. Step 2 is optimizing. It's a little more tricky, but I'm going to show you all the settings. We're basically flattening all of the layers since we only need one. What happens sometimes is when you're saving either the Photoshop or Illustrator file, it will maintain all of the layers, and that's why the files can get gigantic. Funny story, I had a student one time, before we realized how all this merging and optimizing worked, and kind of the reason I got into it, was they had a file that was too big to open. It was a single page and it was 1,000 megabytes. So after a little bit of investigation, we figured out that there was like 50 or 60 layers in this one document. And each one of those layers, even though they were small in size, were extremely high resolution, almost unnecessarily so. So we were able to get a document that was 1,000 megabytes, that's a gig, down to 1 megabyte. It looked just as good. So that's a reduction of 99.9%. That was amazing. As we optimize, we're going to pick a single resolution, which is probably 300 pixels per inch, we decided on earlier. But we can also pick a lower resolution if size somehow becomes an issue, which it won't. Here we are in Acrobat Pro. We're going to look for that command we just mentioned, which is combine. So let's go up to the menu, combine files. I've got a folder already set up. We do get this little area here. Before I pick the folders, I'll just mention, if you have your Explorer or Finder open, you can actually drag in PDF documents from all over the place and then rearrange them as a next step. I'm just going to click on this button right here, and here is my 3 separate pages of the Super Moo presentation. So get those all on there. Now, if I could continue editing, I could subtract stuff, I could delete stuff, and you can even move things around. These pages were numbered, but you just drag and notice how they go wherever you drag them and let go. Next step. We're not quite done. We have to hit the combine here at the top. Boom, now it's in a single document. So we can just scroll through to make sure everything's in place. So that's step 1, merging or combining. Step 2, we're going to optimize. That's the flattening thing we just talked about. So I'm going to go to File menu, Save as Other, Optimized. Do not select Reduced Size PDF. That has less controls. Optimized. Go ahead and save this. I'm going to call it Super Moo. There you go. Give it a name, of course. Now here's the scary interface. Basically, we're just going to go one by one. All the images, if they're over 300, we want them to go down to 300. Okay, and I can even increase the quality to high. These will all look the same. Same thing on grayscale, 300. For anything over 300, high quality. And monochrome. Who knows why they separate these, but they do. You can, once you do this, you can save it as a custom settings, give it a name. So let's just double check here. There we go. This is the hardest part right here. So all the images are going to be downsampled to 300 if they're over 300. That's all that's happening here. Fonts do not take up much time at all. We're not going to unembed fonts. We're going to leave them inside. They're relatively small. Notice here, transparency. This is the situation where you have lots and lots of layers. We're going to leave it unchecked because we don't want a transparency, just one flat single layer. Discarding objects, I typically click everything. There's no metadata really required. discard user data, discard everything. We want to keep this as small as possible, and clean up. Once again, we're checking everything. Let's hit OK. I'm going to rename it the same thing we just did after the combine/merge. Right over that one, say yes. The file gets saved. Now for our final step, let's check it. So here we are in the Windows Explorer, and I'm seeing the individual pages, 1, 2, 3, with their file sizes, which is something good to know, and the final 3-page PDF. We can look at that in a minute. There it is. 1, 2, 3. It's all 3 pages are in there, and it's a relatively lightweight 1.3 megabytes. That's fantastic. So I told you the files don't have to be particularly large to have a lot of detailed information in them. So we have all these images, we have all this text, no problem. So that is it. Hope you learned something about setting up files, laying them out for presentations, and the final stage, which can be the most important if no one ever gets it, the merging and optimizing. This video is over. Cut!